Welcome to Cosmic Channels. I'm your host, Braden. This is your call-in show, not mine. I just host it. These are your calls, your paranormal calls, ghost calls, Sasquatch sightings, UFO encounters. You've seen that weird silver bean that's, people have called in about. You've seen the void. You had some weird seance experience. This is the place. These are your people. 1-833-703-0424. The lines are open. Huge shout out. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone listening to the show. Obviously, if you come hang out on the lives while we're waiting for calls, you listen to the podcast version, you'll know, two kind of different vibes. Try to keep the podcast version a little more spookier. Keep the chit chat in between. So the lives where I can kind of connect with you guys more. And I really want to thank everyone that's been tuned into the show. Last week, I was a little down on the show. I don't know why I was a little down. The numbers took a little dip, and I just spent all this money on advertising. So I was, they weren't too down, but I was expecting them to be kind of on the up. And then today's episode released, and today is now our record for the most downloaded Cosmic Channels episode to date is today. So thank you everyone for downloading. But we got a call on the line. They take priority. Let's go right to the call. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Braden. This is Baby Narby.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Not too bad. Just hanging out, taking calls. What do you got for us tonight?
Well, last Saturday, I think I saw a fucking UFO, man.
Hey, that's what I like to hear.
Some crazy shit in the sky. Like, when I was driving home on my block, like above my house, I don't know how far away, but pretty far away.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so last Saturday, it was probably around. Actually, I could pull up how much or what time it was. It was around 10 o'clock on Saturday. This is in the Orange County area. Buena Park is the city. I'm looking north across the freeway, the 91 freeway, which I live like backed up right next to the freeway. So my backyard is the freeway wall.
Yeah.
So I'm looking down my street, above my house, north into the night sky, and then there's like a cluster of lights. Like, it looks like, at first I think helicopters, because around I live by the freeway, so there's always helicopters like flying by, doing chases and whatever. But this is like way further out, and there were so many lights, and they were like to the left of the lights. There was like kind of helicopter lights, it looked like, but then there was just like the main big cluster, and it was kind of arranged in like a pyramid shape. Like that's just kind of what that's what my brain was seeing, even though it was just
So how?
three flashing dots.
It was just three lights like in a triangle formation.
So the main cluster, it was like three flashing lights, but they were all like not synced up, like flashing at their own times. But it was there's three main ones that made the triangle shape, and then below it, like as if it was the base of the pyramid, it was like kind of just a string, like a bead of lights, also flashing, but it was dimmer than the triangle, like the 3 points of the triangle.
Yeah. And how long did it just hovered? Any rotation,
Yeah,
anything?
it was in the same spot for like I was out there. I went on my roof to get a better angle, and I'll send you a video right now through Instagram. But it was just like in the same spot, and it like I also recorded like a helicopter was passing by kind of close for like reference of like the lights kind of, I guess.
On.
But like in the distance, like whew, it was just oh my gosh.
So
I don't even know, man.
How long do you think did you watch these lights for?
So like 1 to 2 minutes, I was out there just like from the moment that I drove down my street to getting up on my roof. Oh no, it wasn't 1 to 2 minutes. It was kind of like, I think it was like 5 minutes, but like through my pictures and stuff, the time was 10:18 when I started trying to take a picture of them, but they weren't coming out good, so I got on my roof, and then I ended at like 10:30. So like around 10-12 minutes, I was trying to figure out what they were. But like from a distance, it looked like they were all staying stationary, and together they were creating a shape. And then to the left of that shape, there looked to be like helicopters, like looking at it, I guess.
Interesting. And no movement, no rotation, no dip or anything. It just these lights just kind of hung there.
Just stayed there floating in the distance. I'm not even too sure how to gauge the distance, but like I think vision is like 10 miles, right? Before you can't even see anymore.
I'm not a vision expert. Sometimes I miss stuff in front of my face, so I'm not a good person to ask. One question I'm going to ask though, because whenever someone tells an account like this or says lights, I always hear fucking Dan's annoying voice in the back of my head, right? And his voice in the back of my head says, "Oh, there's probably a mountain there, and there are lights on a mountain, but they can't see at night." You're in that area. Is that? Can we disprove that?
There is a mountain. I don't really know. I think it's the San Gabriel Mountains. Like if I look north from my house, you can see them. But I don't think like the mountain is way too far for those lights to be like. They look pretty close. They look like in between me and the mountain.
Yeah.
Like that mountain is probably like it's a while away because I live kind of by LA.
Yeah.
So it like.
So you're saying right now, like there is mountains, but the chances of those lights being like where you saw them in the sky, you're saying like next to impossible, that they were just like, street lamps, as Dan always likes to say, on this mountain.
I think so. They look.
The other great way we can check too is that, when did you say you saw this?
It was Saturday at around 10:15.
Pretty clear night?
Pretty clear night.
How's it looking there today?
Clear skies, no clouds,
so,
looking good.
I mean, we can chalk that it's not lights on that mountainside if you go out and take a picture tonight around the same time.
Ooh.
Right?
I will do.
Yeah, do that, and then because then we can at least, because that's whenever I hear that, I like. And I've seen those triangle lights. I've seen so many UFO photos and stuff. And when I show Dan or I'm excited, he always says it. He goes, "Well, I don't know if there's a mountain back there or not. Maybe they're just lights on a mountain." I'm like, "Fuck you!
Yeah.
It's aliens, dude."
No, it was definitely. I gotta say, man, though, that like I lived here all my life. I'm 20, so I've been seeing this mountain, and like I don't really have a good judge of distance, I guess.
Yeah.
But that mountain has never been lit up the way it has been, unless some like crazy shit was going down and like criminal activity that needed to involve like I don't know.
I mean, I feel like in that case though, you would have seen like red and blue, like you would have, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you probably would have there would have been more evidence of something big going on. But the thing that still doesn't make sense is 3 stationary triangular formation lights, just sitting in the sky, right?
They were all blinking, like all randomly. It didn't look like it had any sort of like pattern or it maybe did, but like when I was staring at it for all the time it was just flashing lights in like a little tiny triangle pyramid kind of thing in the distance with like the base of the triangle kind of lit up. It looked crazy, but
yeah,
I didn't look at MUFON or anything because that was only Saturday and I was busy.
So. I'm gonna pull up MUFON right now because like maybe because I pretty much check every day and I'm like there is a possibility there was like written accounts in that area and I just kind of like because I usually look at the ones that either have pictures or video attached. I don't really look at just the like written accounts. Sometimes I do, but to be honest, not. Yeah. I'm usually more into the ones with videos and stuff.
And I just sent the video through Instagram on the Alien Theorist Theorizing page.
Beautiful.
From
I can't.
Baby Nar.
I won't be able to look it up. I can't because I'm streaming on Instagram. I can't open it. But what I'll do is I'll open it later, and then when I'm editing this, I'll put the video that you have. I'll tag it at the end of your story.
All right. I just wanted you to get a better idea of what I'm describing because it's like kind of hard.
Well, no, when you describe it, I'm seeing it perfectly in my head. I'm telling you, those like triangular lights are burned into my image. I see so many of them, right, that are unexplained and stuff that people post. Oh, it's for some reason it's down right now, so I can't even pull it up. I was gonna see if there's any. They're probably getting hacked again. God damn, we're getting too close to the truth. I'll have to check into that later, and we'll see what's going on. But so what happened? Did you just get bored of kind of looking at them? Did they disappear? How did this end?
Just as I described it. Just saw them from like driving home on my block, and then I went up to my roof to like look at them for longer and see what was up, to see if they were just helicopters like circling an area, but they were all stationary, not moving, not changing brightness or anything. They weren't like going further. They weren't slightly moving. They were literally all still. Yeah. And I tried to take pictures and a video, but it was like I live right by the freeway, so the freeway lights are like right in between me and the other lights, so the light pollution is kind of bad. But in the video I sent you, you can clearly see what I'm talking about. But I did describe it wrong, and there's actually 2 triangles now that I'm looking at the video again. It's like a triangle that's face on, and then there's one that's kind of askew that makes it look like a 3D pyramid.
Yeah. Interesting.
But I don't.
So
yeah.
They
were all staying perfectly still, and I just went back inside.
After a while, you're like, I don't know what this is. So I definitely want you to go peek out tonight, just to so we can chalk that up. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's not flares, because that's the other one that people always say. It's like, oh, it's probably flares, but like they only hang in this like sky 7 seconds. So you would have noticed. You were watching these things for almost 15 minutes, right? 12 minutes. So it's probably not going to be flares floating in the sky, and they didn't drift. They didn't I mean, that's interesting. I mean, as soon as we can chalk up that's you go out there tonight and you take that picture and you're like, yeah, there's no lights here now, right? Then I'm like, it's a bona fide good UFO. I don't know what it is though. Like, what do you think that is? That triangle formation? What do you think it is?
To be honest, I the way I think aliens are is I'm not completely sure yet, because I'm actively trying to figure out what they are. I'm actively interested in what the hell these things might be and stuff. And since there's so many, I've been listening to you guys for a long time, and the Cosmic Channels are so great for this, because it just gives me all kinds of first-hand accounts of things, and just makes me believe more, think more about it critically. But I think they're kind of just I've heard people say that they're just the veil is is just at the right moment. Something lined up perfectly just for. But that's just from my perspective, because everybody else has eyes that can look from other perspectives. So people that were under the lights, I don't know what. I tried to look it up. I tried to go on Snapchat Maps because it people post stories and they have like a location marker.
Yeah.
But I didn't see anything about lights, or no one was recording the sky or anything. So I don't know if it was if that means it was just coincidentally these helicopters were not breaking formation and they were just doing an air show, like a drone show, that far away, that bright.
I don't know if you if you're listening to this and you saw something in the LA area that you thought was weird, April 13th, 2024, sometime at Saturday night, hey, we want to know. We need some cooperation here of this story, because there's so many people maybe I really wish I could get on the MUFON page now, because usually sometimes it doesn't people, it'll take a week or so till you get not very often is it date seen today, date reported today. It's usually takes a little while for these reports to come in and get actually onto the system. But I'll keep a peek on that, man, and I'll let you know if anything. Well, I'll post it that if anything was seen around this time, because now I'm intrigued. So I made a little note for myself, and we'll have to go from there. But hey, please take a picture tonight. Go out around the same time, quickly snap a picture in the distance of kind of the same area, and let's just chalk up. I just want to eliminate the chance that those are just reoccurring lights from this mountain in the back.
Yeah, just to clarify, these have never even seen lights on this mountain whatsoever.
No.
Or lights are just out of nowhere.
Like I said, I get the Dan voice in my head, and the Dan voice goes, "Well, it's maybe new construction. They didn't know about it. It just started." You're like, "Shut up." Let's. But I just let.
Yeah, I'll prove Dan wrong. I'll go out there at exactly the same time stamp.
Beautiful.
We'll bust Dan right now.
And then because then we're like, okay, now we're on to something. This is some interesting stuff. Have you reported that yet? You said you didn't?
No, I haven't reported it, but I also have never heard of UFOs around my area. I'm a couple. How far are we from LA? An hour? Yeah, we're an hour from. Huh? With traffic, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours. We're pretty far from LA, and I was looking north, so it wasn't even towards LA. I was looking towards.
I want to tell you something right now. I'm gonna fill you in on something. You live that close to LA, you have a rich history of seeing UFOs in the skies around LA. Do me a favor, report that. Go on MUFON, report it, because people especially people who have the wherewithal to take a picture and videos, they love that, right? Just you don't need it. It's gonna take you 10 minutes.
Yeah, I've definitely talked.
Right, so just log it on there, because what happens is, and I've talked to other people who they go, yeah, I went on MUFON to see if I saw any other reports, and I didn't. And I'm like, well, did you report it? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, what if there was someone else who looked to see if there was something else? And went, okay, well, I'm not going to, maybe I didn't see, I don't know, right? So, but the second someone...
I didn't even look yet.
Yeah, well, I can't, it's down, but still, when it's up, make sure to report that, right? Who knows? Maybe someone will give you a call, and you get to explain a little bit, and maybe it'll inspire some other people to share their account. But thank you so much for calling in, opening the show.
Thank you for hosting the show.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
You're great.
You guys still there? Oh, yeah, hey. Just went silent there.
We both had brain farts, but thank you for hosting.
Hey, no worries, man.
I appreciate being able to call.
All right, take care of yourself.
You too.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Love those UFO calls, strange lights in the sky. I love it. You seen some strange lights? You seen some weird absence of lights in the sky? This is your show. 1-833-703-0424. Lines are open. 1-833-703-0424. Woo! Let's go right to the lines. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Braden, what's up? It's Daniel from Virginia.
What's going on, Daniel? How you doing?
Good, man. Missed you, bud. Hey, do you have caller ID?
Yeah, I can see your number. It doesn't say your name.
Well, I've called many times before.
I
Just not
recognize
really
the voice.
since you have fired it back up.
I recognize the voice. But good. Hey, thank you for calling back in.
Yeah, of course. Well, I love that you got it going. And I tell you what, man, I think about calling in all the time. There's so many things that I want to talk about. But I just I'll try to keep it concise. So
or let it off the rails, man. It's Cosmic Channels. This is what this is for.
Yeah. Hey, have you gotten a dream call in tonight?
No dream call. So if you want to be the one dream call, you are first up.
Okay. All right. So I think I might be part of the reason why the dream police came in the first place. Because of my first call.
It's not because of any one person. I will tell you that.
Yeah, sure.
And I think and this is my personal thought. I never really. I think dream calls are interesting. I do. I think when people tell me them, I'm like, holy, that's weird. But it's one of those things where when you're trying to when you're talking about weird and paranormal, sometimes you hear a dream and you're like, that's a weird dream. And you're kind of, that's where you're stuck with, unless there's some other and then I woke up and that thing that I dreamed about came true.
Right.
Now we're in premonition, right? Not a little dream. But I think what happens is, and this was the gripe of the collective group of when we kind of were like, hey, no more dreams, is just like when people call with a UFO story, I find a lot of the time the first couple calls dictate the calls I get on the show for that night. Right? So it's, when someone calls with a UFO story, whether it be a phenomenon or not, I feel like a lot of the calls I get afterwards are UFO calls, right? And a ghost story, then people are like, I have a ghost story, and they do that. Well, everyone has dreams, right?
Yeah.
So people hear a dream call, and they go, fuck, I got a dream. And they call in, they go, here's my weird dream. And you go, now your second call, you're like, that is a weird dream. That's super weird.
Yeah, and the thing about dreams is that they're just so subjective, and like you said, everyone has them.
Yeah,
so
and everyone could tell a really fucked up story. I have a reoccurring story where I'm on a fucking school bus, and the bus is being driven by human spiders. It's wild. I have it every couple.
What?
I have it every couple years, vividly, and it's always the same. And I age in the dream. Like I'm the same.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my! Is it a nightmare?
Not really. Not really. It's uncomfortable, and I usually wake up like uncomfortable, and it's weird. And in the dream I realize that this isn't right, but you know what I mean? It's just fucked up. There's no premonition.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's just a fucked up dream that I have, and it's weird. I'm like, I don't know. I've never had any run-in with spider people, so it's just a weird dream. But yeah,
well, not to put you on the spot, psychoanalyze you, but maybe you got something with something with spiders. That
I hate them. I hate spiders. I saw arachnophobia when I was too young. My parents let me watch it when I was too young, and it fucked me up. And I cannot. I don't know why. I'm a grown ass man.
That'll do it.
And I see a spider, and I'm like, I'll jump out of my skin.
No, they're so scary.
Yeah. So I just. So that's, probably has a little bit of it, of the reason why is that I have that fear of them now. But yeah, it's just a dream. So, but let's hear yours. We do one dream call.
All right. So it's not really, I don't really want to necessarily give you a dream. I just want to kind of talk about sleep paralysis and the many different forms that it exists. Just because in my past, I experienced a lot of sleep paralysis, but I want to start the story out with some juice. Okay. Which is the first time I called in, I kind of ended with this, but when I was, and again, stories with kids, but when I was 4, I saw this blue, now I wasn't dreaming. It wasn't sleep paralysis. I was awake and I could move. There was this blue, luminescent human thing that was on my ceiling for a brief moment. And it was almost like Spider-Man kind of floating and looking down at me, and it freaked the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
I was at the time I was really young, and I was with my sister in the room, and I tried to wake her up, and I looked back, and it was gone. And so that kind of stuck with me for the rest of my life. And I always, as an adult, you don't really know what to think of it. You just kind of assume that it was, maybe you try to rationalize it. But, then I experienced a lot of sleep paralysis. And if you go and you watch a movie called The Nightmare, it's mostly about sleep paralysis and people experiencing different things with sleep paralysis. But in that movie, they actually present like a blue entity like this. And when I saw that, it was just a big slap in the face. Like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? And I follow all the lore and all the stuff that you guys have presented and before that. And it's not really something that you hear about very often. But if anyone else has experienced that, seen some sort of like glowing luminescent blue, and it's almost translucent, there's no real form to the face or anything like that. It'd be fascinating to know if somebody else has experienced something like that. But sleep paralysis in itself, I think, is very interesting.
Brother,
and
hold on. Listen to this. Have you Googled glowing blue man dreams in your dreams?
I found like things about blue people, but it was just because of their diet or something like that.
No. There's like a Reddit page I'm looking of people being like, and maybe this is you, and people talking about a humanoid figure walking into the parents' room, glowing blue, then disappears. Don't know if it's some sort of astral projection. And then there's a whole Reddit post of this, like, people talking about this, like, blue energy person that they see. And they said, and a lot of people are like, I've seen this during an episode of sleep paralysis, standing in my doorway. I could see it clearly. The second I could move, it disappeared. It was literally just electric, glowing blue human shape, average height. All it did was look at me and walk down the hallway for a minute. And then it disappeared. Like, there's hundreds. I'm reading these of this, like, people, because, like, when I typed in The Nightmare, I just wanted to Google the movie while you're talking about it. I saw the Hat Man on the, like, in one of the pictures. I'm like, oh, Hat Man, that's pretty, it's kind of a phenomenon that a lot of people see. Maybe this thing is. And it looks like you're not alone.
Oh, well, that's fascinating. I'm going to have to go down that rabbit hole sometime soon.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So I've experienced sleep paralysis in a lot of different ways than other people have, in that a lot of times when I experience it, it's in the dream. It's something happening inside of a dream, whereas a lot of people, they kind of feel like they're still awake. And I've had that too, where you think you're in your room and you try to move, but you can't move. And maybe there's something else there. And honestly, personally, I think it's always a dream. Even if you're in your room and you think you can look around your room, you're asleep and you're in a dream, just dreaming of your room. Not to say that there isn't. So let me take a step back. If something else is, like, anytime that I'm experiencing sleep paralysis and, actually every single time, there's something else there. Like, I'll be dreaming and it will interrupt my dream. It will change the dream and force some sort of paralysis. Mm-hmm. And I had to basically fight my way out of it. After, like, years of dealing with it, I hated it. You start out just completely fearful. And in a lot of other cases that I've heard of, in my cases, it's normally when you get to that point that, like you lose control, and then it takes control of you. And a lot of times, like, all you can do is just, like, you can't do anything but have a breathless howl of desperation for your life and soul, and then you wake up and you're okay. But
it's terrifying.
You can fight it. You can resist it. And I feel like I did that, and I physically fought this thing in my dreams. And it eventually got to the point to where these characters, these entities, would basically leave me alone. And I've got, like, chronicles of stories that kind of correlate, and to the point to where, like, they eventually kind of left me alone and whatnot. But I know that Dan has experienced a little bit of sleep paralysis. And one of the things that would be kind of fun to ask him when you have a chance is, when he experiences it, does it really feel like he's just having a nightmare, or does it feel like something else is there? Because I've had nightmares, and it's not the same.
From my conversations with Dan, because I've talked to him, tons off air and about sleep paralysis and stuff, and he's told me about how he kind of gets himself out of it. He focuses on, like, a toe or a pinky, and it's usually if he hyper focuses on the one thing, he can then kind of get out of it. But I'll have to ask him if because he does say there's other things there, but I don't know if he's saying that like it's in a nightmare that there's other things, or if like there he when he means like he's like I feel like there's something else there, because it would be surprising for me knowing Dan for as long as I have, for him to be like, no, it's something else is there. Dan's very logical. Dan, I have a feeling, I don't want to speak for him, and maybe he'll surprise me, but from knowing him so long, I'm going to guess he's going to say, no, this is a nightmare, and it's because I'm asleep and I wake myself out of it.
Okay.
But
yeah, there's one instance in particular. I feel like I remember a story of like a witch about to give him a blowy or something.
Yeah, it was like on his chest or something, and like, yeah, like I know there's one where it's sitting on him or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he'd be so quick to wake up from that one, the one you described.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know where I got this from. I'll have to go back and find the episode to redeem myself.
Yeah, no, I think I don't doubt it. We maybe made that joke, but he.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you guys.
Oh no, sorry. I thought someone had a question in the chat there, but it didn't pop up. So, yeah. No, it's definitely interesting though. It's like I've never had sleep paralysis. It sounds terrifying. I think I would like to experience just once, because I know I've heard a lot of people who have had it happen just once and never again. I think I would only to just feel the experience. I've only lucid dreamed like a handful of times, and wild stuff. And I've always like.
I mean, that sounds cool. I've never lucid dreamed that. It sounds great though.
Yeah, it's only like 2 or 3 times that's happened in my life, and like euphoric, unbelievable. When like I was flying, it was the coolest thing. It was the coolest thing ever. I was just like, oh, I'm in a dream. I'm dreaming right now, and I was just like, and I'm flying, and I just flew around. It was so fun, and then I woke up and I was
That's
so
awesome.
sad. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
To know, because so many people, see similar things when they have sleep paralysis. That's the interesting thing to me, is that like it's such a shared phenomenon of some of the, I want to say creatures or people or beings or shadow figures that people see, right? So I wonder if it's some sort of, if it's, how we all have like the instincts of like, the what's the one where you see like something human and it's not quite human? It kind of freaks you out.
Was it Uncanny Valley?
Uncanny Valley, yes. We all have these kind of like evolutionary traits. Like, is that just something like ingrained in us, or these like shadow figures, like stuff we're supposed to be scared of, or, interesting to think about.
So I don't actually, even though I say like it feels like something else is there, I don't necessarily think that there's actually something in our reality, in our waking reality. And I'm not married to any of these thoughts or ideas that I share about this. It's really just kind of a hypothesis. But I think of consciousness as something that is universal, in that, I personally believe like I am you from a different view. What is my soul is the same thing as what makes somebody else's soul or another animal's soul or whatever the total collective conscience is. And with reality, there's at least 4 dimensions. You've got height, width, depth, and time. And I think that the mind is a little bit more, has a few more angles to it than we really know or are aware of. And we've got ancestral thought that has shaped our DNA. And I think it's shaped the way that we think. And if you consider just groupthink and the amount of groupthink that's existed for thousands and thousands of years, I think it's just a hypothesis, like maybe we create things in a 4th dimension of consciousness that is only accessible when we're asleep.
Yeah, I mean, tons of people like, we've kind of talked about that and theorized like, I've had tons of beers and late night conversations where you're like, the conversation goes to like Akashic records, and I point to things like even like Hollywood scripts. You look and how many times, like you had you had Armageddon, the movie Armageddon, and then you had the the other movie with the asteroid, released same year, and you see these so
Mhm.
similar. You'll see these movies that come out written by different people, directed by different people, right? Almost made at the same time, and you're like, these are so uniquely similar that it
Oh,
it
yeah.
kind of makes you think that, when you're talking on kind of the stream that you're talking on, it's like maybe these were pulled out by people at the same time from some sort of, shared knowledge and shared conscious state that we're unaware of. And that's why you get these kind of synchronicities in these creative designs and creative thoughts, is because we're all pulling from the same creative, pool, and we don't know it. Right? It's
Yeah,
interesting
that's
thoughts.
pretty wild to think about.
But yeah, there's tons of those movies. I can't think of any others right now, but I'm sure there's one of those weird top 10 similar movies that came out at the same time. Because I remember there was one with Just Friends and with Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis, and then there was another one with Ashton Kutcher and Brittany Murphy, and it was the same plot, same movie. And you're like, how did that get made at the same time? It's so interesting. And
and then there's just dreams are pretty fascinating. It's just all of this stuff that you deal in. It's just kind of tough to psychologically chew, because we never get that conclusion, and even if we do, you're the only person to talk to about it, because it doesn't mean anything to anyone else.
Yeah.
So,
well,
but I've said my piece.
You just got to get in the right circles, my friend. Tons of people like talking about this stuff. Hey, thank you so much for calling in. And,
of course, man. Always good to talk to you. I love you, bud, and I'll keep listening to those Cosmic Channels every episode.
Help us boost those numbers, and thank you for taking us down that little rabbit hole there. That was awesome.
Thanks, bud.
All right, take care of yourself. Bye.
Till next time.
It wasn't even really a dream call. We just kind of went on an interesting, thinking about thought and consciousness. And like I've said before, if you don't have a story you want to call in, you got a theory, you want to shoot the shit on a conspiracy. Hey, this is your show. 1-833-703-0424. Lines are now open. I saw there was someone on hold. I don't know if you can be on hold for 16 minutes. There's a call. Let's go right to the call. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is the Boner Man.
Hey, what's going on, Boner Man?
Yeah, it's my first time calling in.
Right on. You've been in the chat tons, so I'm glad.
Yeah. I've been watching you cats for maybe 7 years.
Right on, man. Thank you for calling.
Yeah.
What do you got for us tonight?
Well, what do you want to talk about tonight?
Anything, man. I'll call it any story, whatever you want.
Okay. Here, I'll take you off the speaker. I've only had one experience, really.
Let's hear it.
Well, it was a shadow man when I was in college about 10 years ago. Yeah. I was living in this hotel that was taken over by the college. So it was kind of an off-campus, place.
Yeah.
But I know that the hotel had some really strange things that happened in it. Like a guy got killed by a grenade in the parking lot. Which
Whoa.
I know, right? It had to do with the mob, and he killed himself. Yeah.
So this place already has some troubled history.
Yeah. It was in Utica, New York.
Do you remember the hotel name?
No, because it had been taken over for a long time ago, probably back in the 80s.
So
right.
when you moved in, what happened? Did anything kind of precurse this sighting or this experience?
Just the only one that I and I know a few things about it. There was a big fire on the 3rd floor, and it was always locked up, so nobody could go up there. I lived right below it with another person that doesn't want to talk about it. And the experience only happened to me. I don't think he ever had anything happen to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, walk us through the experience. So, was it going to sleep? Was it middle of the night? How did it happen?
I had come home from the campus. I was working at a radio station at the college at the time, kind of like you guys are, right?
Yeah.
I was weatherman.
Oh, wow.
Magic Tiger weatherman. That was my name.
Meteorologist, I think they prefer.
Well, I did a lot of stuff. I was a production guy.
I was told calling the meteorologist a weatherman is like calling a paramedic the ambulance driver. That's what I was told.
Well, I did a lot of stuff. I was a production guy. I was a Magic Tiger weatherman. You know, WPNR 90.7 FM, Magic Tiger. Yeah. What happened to me? It was at 4 in the morning. Right?
So,
and
yeah,
I woke up
right around the witching hour.
and I couldn't move. Huh?
Right around the witching hour.
Well, I had woken up.
Yeah.
And I couldn't move. And couldn't move, and you guys probably know how it goes. You know, can't move, you're afraid, like, oh my God, I can't move, and there's a thing in the corner. It was a shadow guy.
Just sitting or just standing?
I was in the bed.
Yeah, but what was the shadow doing?
It was in the corner of the room. And I couldn't speak. And
like, were you just? Did you feel like it was? Were you like holding gaze with it? Like, what was the vibe that you were getting from this thing as it looked at you?
I just couldn't do anything but stare at it, and I yelled what I could. Was, oh my fucking God. Well, I can't speak on your channel or swear, probably.
Oh, you can swear. Fucking rights, you can swear.
Oh, okay.
It's all good.
You know, Jesus, you know, what the hell?
So terrifying. Like, it's just an absolutely terrifying ordeal.
Yes, it was one of the most terrifying things of my life.
So how did it end? Like, did you just regain function and then disappears, or what?
I rolled onto the floor and hurt myself. I hit a chair, and I walked towards it on my knees and tried to grab it and fight it. Right? But then it disappeared.
And you're just standing there grabbing at air.
Yeah, I tried my best to attack it.
Weird.
So, and after that, I stopped being scared and everything, and went to the bathroom and turned all the lights on, and for some reason, I was able to go back to bed, and I stayed there, but
have you ever had?
And I never moved out.
Have you ever had a bout of sleep paralysis since?
No. That was all one thing, and that was it.
And so what do you think? Like, what do you think when that's happening to people? Because it's a shared phenomenon a lot of people have. What do you think it is?
Demonic.
That's the feeling you got?
Yeah, and I've learned over the years that these things are demonic. Just kind of like Bigfoot could be a demonic thing. Yeah, like
Wait,
Nephilim.
hold on. Elaborate on that. What do you mean Bigfoot being demonic?
Oh, you know, a Nephilim.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I've heard that. Well,
Yeah.
I've heard various accounts that Nephilim came down, and then they started having sex with everything.
A descendant.
Right, and that's some weird hybrid between Nephilim and whatever they were horny with in the woods, is what I've heard.
Yeah, and I wasn't into the occult or anything. And I never did any occult things or played it with a Ouija board. So I don't understand why it had come to me.
It's such an interesting phenomenon because it happens to literally hundreds and
lot.
hundreds of people. Like so many people have this experience, some reoccurring all the time, right? So it's weird. It's you know, I've never heard a unified theory that I really am sold on of like why or what it could possibly be. It's just a very strange and unsettling encounter from every experience I've ever heard. I'm always like, yeah, it sounds terrible. Absolutely like a terrible time.
Yeah, it seems to happen to most people at least once in their life.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've never had an experience myself, but like I said earlier with the last caller, I'll be open one time. One time I'd be open to it, and then that's it. No more for me after that.
At least, I think it happens to at least one time in everyone's life.
Yeah, I'll have to see. Brian, thank you so much thank you for so much calling in and telling that shadow person story, and hopefully you know, you don't get another encounter, but if you do, you know where to call.
No. Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, that was like 10 years ago, so you know, I've forgotten a lot of things about it. But I'll let you go on.
Beauty, you're doing something right, so keep doing what you're doing, and if you know you're visited tonight, you know, make sure to call in and let me know.
All right, I'll keep listening.
All right, take care of yourself.
Have a nice night.
Bye. See, boom. Two sleep paralysis. It's a phenomenon. People hear it and they're like, so many people have that shared experience of seeing a shadow person. I mean, I've seen one. The difference between mine and a lot of other people's, and I've heard other people's where it's had nothing to do with sleep. Wide awake, not asleep at all, didn't fall asleep. But interesting, nevertheless. You got stories, you got weird accounts, we want them here. 1-833-703-0424. I saw someone was on hold. There they are. Let's go right to the call. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi.
How's it going?
This is Anya. I'm from Michigan.
Hey! It's about time. I almost gave up on you. You said you were going to call like 5 weeks ago.
I almost gave up on calling in.
Yeah, what the hell? I met Anya in Austin. She holds the record for the worst park job in the history of anyone parking a car. Literally parked her car on the busiest road. They literally shut down the road, and there was a huge party in just her car, and everyone was just partying around it.
Yeah, I can't believe it didn't get towed, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it was spectacular. It was the best parking spot you could have parked. But I'm so glad you called in. What do you got for us tonight?
Okay, so honestly, I'm not sure. This could be like a real person or a ghost. I grew up on an 18-acre horse farm in Michigan, obviously, and it was in the middle of nowhere, so there was literally nothing around the house that I grew up on. Why I don't know if this is a real person or not. First of all, I know the house was haunted. There's been many times where I would like babysit my younger sister, and I would see a young or a little shadow person peek around corners, and I would like yell at her to go back to bed, and I would get up and she would be passed out in her room and the door would be closed and I wouldn't hear anything open, and so I would just see shadow people all the time. But the one I want to talk about is So we had a 25 horse stall barn, and my mom and I would go out at midnight every single night and just give the horses like a midnight snack, and it'd be a flake of hay, and we would lock up the barn, all the doors and everything, and my dogs would come out with us, and like, I don't know, probably 3 times a week, he would just sit and bark at this one stall, and it was an empty stall that we just held like equipment in, and he would just sit and bark, and it was terrifying. And so my mom would be like, no, it's fine, like, I think she'd just try to ease my nerves. But she was like, you're fine, let's just keep going, we'll lock it up and we'll go back inside. And I would help her out on the weekends. And so this one time we had an indoor arena, and we had a loft that had like a futon and a mini fridge upstairs, and then we had like below the loft was like a storage place, and so we just had like curtains that would hide the storage place. And the loft would overlook the arena. And this one time we had a girl who, her name was Sarah, and she was a trainer, so a lot of people would come in and do lessons with her. And so she would come in super early, and she came up to my mom one time and she was like, hey, I met your guest that's staying in the loft. And my mom's like, first of all, if I had someone come and stay with us, why the hell would I put them in the loft in the barn and not with us in the house? And she's like, oh, well, this guy is up in the loft every time I go up there, and he just acts like he's supposed to be there. He just like stays up there, and he's been like, he acts like he doesn't see me or knows that I'm there every time I come in. And my mom's like, okay, well, that's a little weird. And so what's creepy is it happened for like 3 days or 4 days in a row, and then all of a sudden he just wasn't there anymore. Never took anything, never like disrupted anybody. But what's creepy is he would never be in the loft every time my mom and I would go to like lock up the barn. So either it was it was a ghost, or this guy is stalking enough to know when to be in the barn and hiding before we would lock up the barn and all the other doors. Whether he was in a horse stall or he was underneath the loft in like that little storage area, it's just, my mom was like, that's fucking creepy. He would never take anything. It was for literally 4 days. And my mom's like, that is the creepiest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And we always had a weird
But the dog was alerted in there? Like the dog was barking at something? So maybe the dog
He would bark
knew?
at, this stall that was empty. So whether this guy was in there or not. But the thing is, he wouldn't really acknowledge Sarah anytime she would go up there. She would just kind of say, oh, hi, good morning. Like, see, you're up here again. And he would like just look at her, and then he would look back to look out the window like he was watching someone in the arena.
Oh, that is so creepy. It makes me think of that, like, that one family. Remember, you may have seen it was like a viral video from a couple years ago where like he was like, someone's in my house, and then he set up a camera, and there was like a woman that like crawls out of the air duct and like watches her feet in the sink and shit. Like, what is it called? Frogging. That's what that's called, I believe.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's so creepy, because you're like, you know, like, so it's like he knew your routine enough that he would either, you know, if this is, I don't know what's worse, if that's a real person or if that's a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a tough one, because you're like, a real person can really hurt you.
Well, and like my mom's like, if this is a guy, if it's a real guy, like why wouldn't he take anything? He just had to be there for 4 random days. And we are literally in the middle, like we had 18 acres ourselves, but like our neighbors also had horses and cows, and we were in the middle of nowhere. Like if this guy was just like a hitchhiker or a homeless guy, like I would have no idea where he would have came from. We're not by highway, we're not by a city. It was just,
how do you walk around that property now, not looking at every window and being like, where is this guy?
Well, she when I went to college, she moved down to Texas.
Sorry.
So we don't live there anymore.
Oh, you moved to Texas?
No, when like we lived there in Michigan, and then when I went to college, she sold the place and moved down to Texas.
Oh, okay. So potentially you sold this place with a
creeper.
With a creeper in it. Oh, that is terrifying. That is such a weird account because the it's weird because it's like after 3 days you're like, hey, this guy's giving me the creeps that you got living here. That's terrifying.
Well, and the other thing is, like, Sarah didn't tell my mom until he was already gone. And she's like, oh, did your guy, like, did he leave? And my mom's like, who the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? And she's like, oh, the guy that was staying up in the loft. And I was like, excuse me, there's a guy staying up in the loft and you're just now telling me?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I thought you knew. And I was like, absolutely not. Did not know.
I mean, how, like, and that guy must have played it so cool. To not alert.
Sarah's like, he didn't acknowledge me. He would look at me, and that was it.
That's a weird thing too, though, because that's an interesting aspect of it too. Because if you think about it, this guy doesn't know if she lives there. He doesn't know her. So, like, when she sees him, in his head, he could be like, "Hey, this person might live here, and the jig's up for me." But he doesn't, which makes me think that he's been there long enough to watch you guys to know that she doesn't live there.
That's what's so creepy is, like, he definitely, if it was a real person, which, like we both said, I'm not sure if it's creepier if it's a real person or a ghost, but he definitely would have had to watch our routine, like, day in and day out, to not be seen all throughout the day, and then to only be there in the nighttime and then in the early morning.
Yeah, I mean, that's them. And then, like, how far is the house from the barn?
So the barn was attached to the house.
Oh my!
Like, we just had a little walkway.
Oh, so he could have been peeking in windows.
Oh my God!
Oh,
ew! Yes, I didn't even think of that.
Or he could have been like, yeah, this is terrible. He just, like, could have been watching everything you guys did, right? Like, oh, that's just, there's something about that. It's just like, you know, obviously this person didn't do anything, but it's just like, oh, I just don't like it. I don't like it. If that, like, I almost would rather that be a ghost.
Well, and so the house that we bought, like, the people we bought it from, they had a great uncle that did die in the basement of the house. So, like, that basement was terrifying to go into. So, it was just had the creepy vibes. And like I said, I've seen shadow people anytime I would babysit alone.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had an ex-boyfriend that was there with me one time, and he actually saw it too. And I was like, oh my God, good. I'm not going crazy.
It makes me interested to wonder if, because I'm like, the difference is that you're seeing shadows. You're seeing these, you know, shadows while you're awake of peeking around and whatnot. But this apparition, if it's a ghost, like, fully
he seems real.
Yeah, and fully like presented itself to the horse trainer. It makes me wonder, of, like, is she more sensitive to this stuff, and that's why she was able to see him so clearly? Was there a reason why, if it's a ghost, that he shows, like, he appears in front of this person and not others? Or maybe if we're going, let's go apparition for a second, and this is some sort of ghost that lives there. Maybe did you, like, I don't know what kind of vibe the ghost gave off, if it was benevolent or anything, but maybe if it was a ghost and it knew you guys lived there and it didn't want to startle you, it doesn't show itself. But this person that doesn't live there, it was comfortable showing itself, because it's like, well, this person doesn't live here, so it's not going to be, this person's not going to be bothered.
And I guess that's the thing too, is she did say, she mentioned that she didn't get any malicious feelings from this being at all.
Oh, so
weird. My mom was just like, it's so odd that he would just watch us, stay for a few days, and either be on his way or never come back.
Well, I mean, if it's a real person, I mean, you're pushing your luck every day you stay, right? And especially as soon as someone's seen you, that almost, just like the balls to, like, if that's a real person, to then be seen, ghost the person, like, just be like, no, just pretend you're supposed to be here, look out the window, ignore them, don't really acknowledge them, and then stay for like 3 more days is like, that is wild. I guess
the other thing too is we did have cameras. We had cameras for liability issues, for when we would have lessons, when we would have people who did come and they weren't supposed to be on the premises. So the thing is, my mom's like, why didn't I never see them on any of the cameras?
Yeah, see, I mean,
I don't know.
That-
I don't
that-
know.
that's
That's why
a-
I was like, it could be a real person, but it also could have been an apparition. I guess.
That's
I'm
a
not
great
sure.
story because it's scary as a ghost, and it's even worse if it's real. Like if there's a real
Yeah.
person. So it's like that's a phenomenal because you're just like either way, you're like, okay, well, it's a ghost, and then you're like, it's still like I'm still creeped out. We didn't see it. There's this old man ghost. We see these things in the house, and then it's
Ugh.
even worse if you're like, yeah, that's a real guy that's just lurking around. Like, ugh. Yeah. Either way, that's terrifying. I'm glad you called in and finally told that story. That's how often do you think about that?
Well, now I think it literally scarred me. So every house I'm at now, I'm like, do you have cameras? Are your doors locked? Are your windows locked?
Yeah.
You know every square inch of your house
Yeah.
because there could be a frogger.
Honestly, that's what I'm like. I'm moving to a new place, and now I'm like, I'm gonna have to look in the attic. I'm gonna have to check the
Yeah.
crawl space. I'm gonna have to look around every corner to make sure there's not some weird person sharing my house with you. Ugh,
Yeah.
I don't like that. Thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah.
Better late than never.
I'll call in more, I promise. The
Good.
first one is always the scariest, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now that I got that out of the way. So
Yeah, that
thanks
was-
again for having this platform. It's fantastic,
Oh.
and you guys are great.
Yeah, I'm glad you got a call in. Thank you so much for calling, and take care of yourself and check for froggers
right,
before you
yeah.
go to sleep.
Okay. Have a good one.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Oh, terrifying. I don't know what's worse. Honestly, I'm in my head. I'm like, what's worse, ghost or real person? I think a real person. I think having a real person is worse. Yeesh. Lines are open. 1-833-703-0424. If you've lines are absolutely popping off tonight. I'll take this call, and this might be the last call, but I got something special for you. Cosmic Channels, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Braden.
Hey, holy! We were about to call your mom to make sure you were okay, my friend, because we hadn't heard from you for so long.
I've been busy.
What I thought had happened is I thought you were upset because your mom is such a shining star on the show and such a fan favorite that you just didn't want to share the limelight.
No, we already had a discussion. We sat down and had a long talk, okay? It's like, listen, you're not stealing my thunder, okay?
Yeah. You're not calling anymore.
Don't you dare. I blocked the number in her phone.
What's going on tonight, man?
Not much. Hey, you know whenever somebody's watching you do something and then you always screw up doing it?
Yeah, always. How
That's
do you
probably
think?
what happened whenever she was trying to park the car. That dude from her house was watching.
No, it's not that she parked her car bad. It's so the street we were on in Austin where we did the fan meetup. She parked on the road, and we were all at a bar. Everyone, there was a whole bunch of us. And when we came out of the bar, they had shut down the street because at night, that street is a party street, and you're not allowed to have cars on it. So there was like the street was filled with people, and there's one single car on the road, and it's hers. And it was like there was a sign like right beside that's like, "Do not park here between these hours." Like it's party time. But yeah, it's terrifying to think of. There's people out there that live at other people's houses, hiding.
I was up for 3 days straight, working really hard, and I did see a couple shadow people, I ain't gonna lie.
Well, I think that'll happen.
That was just lack of sleep.
Yeah, I think you're
But,
clinically insane at that point at 3 days.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
So.
But yeah, I was just calling in, say hi, and let everybody know I was okay.
Good. There was some whispers in the wind.
No, I've been listening though. I've been
Good.
keeping the streams running, but yeah. But yeah, Duchess of Doobie, thank you for keeping this podcast going. The UK people will appreciate once we hit the 150. We need $12.
No,
12 cents.
actually,
How much?
I just want to let everyone know right now while you're on there. First off, thank you for the tip for the show. I want to thank you. I want to thank Mr. Tenko. We hit it's $141. We nailed it. So now I will open up
Nice.
I'm going to sign up a dedicated UK line for the show. So now we can start moving back to getting some advertising. So everything else above the 141 will go right back into advertising. So thank you for that, John Jacoby.
Well, I gotta go.
All right, take care of yourself. So I might take one more call if there's another call on hold. But before I open the line again, I just want to tell everyone, stick around. There was a little bit, I live in a small town, and there was a little bit of a, I don't want to say viral story, but like a viral town story of like, did you hear what happened to this person? And there was an account of someone having, seemingly a ghost interact with their baby in a crib. So I reached out with this person, talked to them, and I got their story. So today, at the end of the show, I'm going to play the account. It's about 30 minutes long, so you're going to get an extra long Cosmic Channels. And then stick around for the end of that video because she allowed me to have access to the baby monitor camera that shows the image of this baby kind of seemingly getting pulled by a ghost. So listen to the count. Stay tuned at the end to watch the video of the crib, and then the show's going to end. But hey, reach out to me on Instagram, Discord, and let me know what you think. Let's reopen the lines. This will be the last call of the night. If there's someone on hold, 1-833-703-0424. If not, we're going right to the story. I saw there was someone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. I'm closing down the lines tonight. Thank you, everyone, for making the show awesome. And this week's been awesome. I was feeling a little down last week. I don't know why, really. The numbers were right on par with everything else. I just thought they'd be higher. And then I woke up today and I was like, whoa, new record, new download record, new listener record. So welcome all the new Cosmic Channelers. If you're watching live for the first time, and we're now, I had to, every now and then you have to kind of go, this isn't working and we got to go back. So we're now streaming back on the Alien Theorists YouTube and the Alien Theorists Facebook page. We just get way more numbers. We get way more numbers, and it's busier, more eyes on the product. So we're going to do that. But if you want to help the show, go to the Cosmic Channels YouTube page. Go to the Cosmic Channels Facebook page. Watch on the Cosmic Channels Instagram. If you're watching on the Alien Theorist pages, go to the Cosmic Channels pages. That's the best way to help the show. But without further ado, this is my interview with Paige about her haunted crib. But that's going to be it for me. After this, it's going to go right to the end. So have a good night, everyone, and we'll talk about this account in Discord and on Instagram. Peace, everybody. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Is this Paige?
Yeah, it's Paige.
Nice to hear from you. So just hold on. Let me just sound check everything, make sure everything's working properly. So normally how I do this is I just record it. You can give your name if you want. You can use a different name. You don't have to say your name. You don't have to say where you're from. You can keep it as private as you like, and we'll just go through your story.
Okay.
Does that work?
I know. Yeah, that sounds good. I haven't prepped at all. I literally just had a week of final exams. Today was my last final, so a lot busy, but yeah. When do you want me to start?
Well, I can give you a little background on how I heard about your story. It's obviously we both live in the same town.
Do you live in Campbell River?
Yeah. So how I heard about this is at a family dinner. The video you had sent had got sent around. Obviously, went far and wide in the town, I guess. So it happened that my mother-in-law had gotten a hold of the video, and she was like, "Oh,
really?
Did you see this?" She kind of knows I'm a lover of all things weird and strange and paranormal. She goes, "Did you see this video of this girl in town?" And it's like, it's a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. This is their story. And so she showed me the video, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of interesting. I would love to reach out and talk to them about this." And through a little bit of digging, I was like, "Okay, wait." As soon as I found out your name, then I was like, "Wait." I think Jamie was like, "Well, we have mutual friends. We're at a wedding together." I was like, "Okay, perfect. I can reach out. I don't feel so awkward." But it's kind of funny how those things just kind of
I know.
spread like
I
that.
know. And I'm like, I briefly remember meeting you.
It was such a busy day.
Yeah.
It was such a busy
at
day.
Rebecca's wedding.
Yes, and I was emceeing. You were doing makeup and other things, so everyone was kind of.
Yeah.
It was a busy day. So.
Yeah. No, I remember that.
Now, why don't you just go through your account? What happened? How did this start? How did you notice it?
Yeah. Okay. Like I'll give you kind of background about like my beliefs. Like I'm very like in tune with energies and like very sensitive to a lot of things. So all my life I've been really aware of things and had some sort of things happen to me. And then I feel like ever since I had my son, I wasn't particularly thinking about anything. So I am that likes to change her house around and stuff. So I'm constantly on Marketplace. I'm constantly trying to figure out new decor to put in his room. I just like decorating. And so I came across this crib on Marketplace for $50. It was originally over $1,000 with this insanely nice mattress. And then I messaged her and she was like, yeah, like you can come get it. It's at the front door or whatever. And then what happened with like the pickup of this crib got delayed. And now thinking back, it was definitely a sign not to get this crib. But my son got really sick in the hospital. And then like all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'll come get this crib. Like I'm finally free. I'll come get it. She threw in a bunch of like the mattress, pillows, sheets, a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, how the heck is this $50? Like, this is insane.
Yeah, like it's one of those deals you're just like, I got a steal on this thing.
Like literally, this is insane. Like I can't not get it. I literally was like, I can't not get it. My boyfriend's gonna hate me, but I can't not get it. so then I pick it up, I put it together. I'm so pumped. Within a couple days, and now this is like kind of like after the fact of talking to my, like, because I ended up talking to counselors and stuff and energy people about it, my dogs got sick. All three of my dogs started shitting in the house and throwing up all over the house for no reason.
Like right after you pick this thing up and bring it in?
Like right after I picked this up. They got extremely sick. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is insane. Like, this is, usually it's one time and then they're fine. Like, our dogs are hounds. They are, like, they could eat rotten food and be fine. Like, they do not get sick. So it's usually like a one-time thing. All of them were puking, and it was multiple days in a row to the point where we took them to a vet. Literally nothing wrong with them. And I'm like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden, like, it was like 2 days after that. Kids sleep through the night. Sometimes they don't, whatever. I have a baby monitor that I can like look on my phone. So when I put him down, and then if he wakes up in the night, so like say, I think it was like around 10 or 11 at night, like it wasn't early, he started to cry a little bit, and I just logged on into my phone. And I was watching him, like, and I usually watch him before I go in, because like maybe he's like sleep crying or whatever.
Yeah. I'm a new parent too. It's like unless he's standing, it's like you leave him alone, let him be.
You do not you do not intervene that. So I like am watching him, and I'm watching. So the video that I posted and the video that went around, I was watching that real time.
Oof. And
my heart like sank watching it, and I'm like literally full of goosebumps right now even talking about it, because I was like, no, like this is not, like this is crazy. And so and then all of a sudden after that video, because I stopped it, but like right after the video ended, he just rolled over and fell asleep, and he was asleep. So then me thinking, oh my God, like, is this me? Like, did I see something weird? Like, okay, I'm going to rewind it and watch it again.
Yeah. And just break down what you saw. Like what
okay.
What did you see when you were watching this?
So the crib camera is like bird's eye view, so I'm looking like down on him, and so he's kind of face down at the beginning, and he goes to sit up, and when he's sitting up, his arm looks like it got pulled 3 times right in front of him, and it's resisting. So his arm is kind of like jolting to go forward. He's resisting that, which is not a muscle twitch. There's no, like, every single person that told me there was a muscle twitch, I'm like, there's no way. Muscles don't twitch like that. I know that. So then he kind of cries, and he's like, and he swats in front of him twice. So his arm gets pulled 3 times, and then he swats away. And then his arm gets pulled directly behind him in between the crib. Forcefully, his arm is like bent, so his elbow is like going out of the crib, and it's right behind him, like awkwardly behind him.
That's definitely the spot of the video where I saw where I was like, that's a little, I was
right?
like, you get the little hairs on the back of your neck, and you're like, ooh,
yeah.
I don't like that. I like, before, before maybe you could chalk it up for other things, but then when you see that too, you're like, I was like, ooh, I did not like that.
That's fine. Like,
yeah.
And it wasn't like directly behind him. It was like kind of twisted. Like he twisted and then go back, and it's like he's looking back at it, and then all of a sudden his legs kind of get like it almost looks like, and that's what I thought, he gets pulled to the side of the crib, and then he cries, rolls over, and falls asleep again. And like I fixated on this thing. Like multiple times I would watch, and I'm like, oh, and I'm home alone. My partner's away. I'm completely freaked out because I'm like, do I go in? Do I go into his room? Like, he's now sleeping. Do I wake my baby up?
Yeah. I mean, you're in a tough position there because you're like, is there something in there? Like,
yeah, I'm like, okay, is there someone, like, is there something in there? And like, what if I'm just waking him up and then he's going to be up all night? Like, because that happens sometimes. Like, sometimes he's up all night. I don't want to wake him up. So yeah, like, don't wake up a sleeping baby. And I'm like, oh my freaking gosh, like, what am I doing? And like, looking back, I wish I would have gone in. But I mean, I didn't.
Well, how much sleep did you get after that? Were you just constantly fixated on the camera after that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I try not to look at the camera unless I have to, because it just, like, you're going to see something that you don't want to see, and especially when we had that crib. Fast forward, we don't have it anymore, obviously, but like, I was like, I'm going to see more things. I'm going to be completely freaked out. I'm like in school full time. I can't deal with this right now. Like, I can't scare myself anymore. And this is like survival instinct. I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, where, like, am I going to stay at my mom's house? Like, what am I going to do? So, like, right after I watched that, and I watched it a couple times, I called one of my friends. And I said, hey, girl, look at this. Like, what the actual F is this? And so I let her watch it, and I didn't tell her what I think. I'm like, hey, just watch this video. Like, what do you think? And she's like, whoa. Like, that's freaky. And it's like, I think that maybe you would know, but sometimes you can't talk about this with people because people just think you're freaking insane.
Oh, it's 100%. There's like, there's a big portion of people where you say this stuff, and it's so funny because, I do this show and get calls all the time, and since I've done it, people in my life that are huge, like, no, it's stupid, this is stupid, I don't believe it, will then be like, I have ever told you this weird story that happened to me, and I'm like, oh, now we got stories, do we? Right, and it's
right.
I sometimes feel like it's easier for your own sanity of like being at night and stuff to be like, this stuff doesn't exist, and that's all it is. This is make believe. It's
right.
stuff kids are scared of. I'm not scared of it. and it doesn't exist. And that's the easiest way to kind of go about living your life than to be like, give some conscious thought to this kind of stuff. And I've also thought, many times, especially with like, I've done countless research on like poltergeist activity and stuff like that, where I sometimes think that the more conscious thought you give these things, the more power they kind of escalate their behavior. So, I can definitely see in your position where you're like, fuck, like, holy, like,
Yeah, like, do I make it seem like I'm scared?
Yeah.
Like, do I want it to know that I'm scared and that we're alone? Because I'm like, I don't know what this is. I have no idea. And so I think I ended up posting that. I called my my boyfriend, and he didn't believe me, obviously. But I think that, like, deep down, he didn't want to scare me more. He was just trying to, like, protect me in a way, because he's away in camp, so he can't do anything anyways. He didn't want to scare me anymore, which is great. But it made me feel even more crazy. So I'm like, you know what? I'm putting this on Facebook X group, which is a girls group on Facebook. There's like 100,000 people on there, and I post the video, and it overnight completely blew up. And like, that's probably why lots of people have seen it. Like, multiple people came up to me in the town, my family, talking about it because they've seen it on Facebook. So that's probably, like, because I was like, I need there to be a safe space for me to talk about this, because I can't just talk to my mom friends, my friends that have moms. Like, I need other people's opinions that are a little bit more open, and this group is great for that.
Yeah, it's twofold, because you want to weigh in on people if it's real, and then maybe there's some people be like, and this is what you do, like, this is your next step.
Exactly.
Sage the house, right?
Yeah, and I was looking for like guidance, and so I ended up getting in contact with a friend of a friend. It always happens like that, and she does, I don't even know what to call it, but like, I want to say like psychic work and a little bit of like tuning in. I'm not sure what it's called, but she like tuned into my house. I told her like my son's name, our address, etc., and she was like, this thing is not good, and she like kind of cleared my house. So, and what else did she do? Yeah, and I bought like a bunch of stuff from Standing Spruce Farm downtown on Choppers Row, and I was just like, I'm gonna diffuse essential oils that are protecting. I'm gonna burn some sage. I have cedar. I'm smudging the house. Like, I need to do everything. And at this point, the crib was still there, because
it's just too good of a deal.
I didn't think it was it. Yeah, I didn't really know at this point what it was and what it was attached to, whether it was attaching to my son or not. And it was trying to attach to my son, which I found out. She's like, it was trying to. It was an older man, really, really gross, feeling really yucky, bad intentions, because lots of the time, she explained to me, and you can back on this, like, lots of times, like, positive energies don't physically harm or physically move you. Like, he was physically moved. Like, this baby, my kid is like 28 pounds. Like, it's not easy to move him.
It's not insignificant.
So, like, significant, exactly. And so, I literally, the moment, because that was the next day, she came, and it was right before, because she was messaging me, and obviously, like, I go to school, so it was like, and I picked my kid up for daycare, so it was like kind of a gong show after school, and I'm like, oh my God, I need this, like, this, my house feels disgusting to me. My skin is crawling all over me. Like, I don't feel good. The minute that you walk into his room, ice cold. Like, ice cold. My fireplaces, both of them, I have one upstairs and one downstairs, they have like, I can set the temperature, but like it's an on and off button, and I always just keep them on. Both of them turned off. It's a manual switch. Like, I did not turn them off, and there's no one in my house.
So like you're becoming very aware that something's going on in your house, and this is all new.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so I was getting ready to take him out because she was like, just get out of the house and I'll come deal with it. And I'm like, okay. So I like go to get him out of the house, and he was in my room, which is across from his room, watching TV, and that door closes and puts a barrier in between me and him. And which is the weirdest thing, because I know that like crosswind and stuff, so I had windows open, and I know crosswind, so that door closed, no other doors closed, and I left the windows as it is, and I came back like 4 hours later, and none of the doors are closed. Like there's like the slightest chance that all of a sudden this door closed, but like 4 hours go by and the doors don't close. Usually would happen like all the time or whatever. So the door closed, put a block between me and Bowen, and I got this rush through my whole body of like I was so nauseous I almost threw up. And so I just picked him up and I left. I think I was in slippers. And I just left the house, and I was like, I'm going to someone else's house for a little bit, and then I'm going to come back later. And yeah, and then I thought, and then she cleared it, and she's like, yeah, it's all good, whatever, which I thought it was going to be good. And I come back, and it was good for 2 days. It was great. It was very clear. It was warm. I like walked in. It was in charge, and I was like, this is my house. Like, that's all, like what she told me to do. And I thought it was great. Fast forward, another day goes by, and shit like starts happening again. So he's waking up throughout the night. It's just really yucky. I'm feeling sick. He's feeling sick. You go into his room, and it's like, I know that something is off. And then at that point in time, Jordan came home, my boyfriend, and his dad, like my kid's dad, came home, and now all of a sudden he's fixated on the baby monitor. So he is up 24/7 all night watching this thing.
Well, which then bothers you because you're like, what do you mean? You said it was fine.
Yeah. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. All of a sudden now you're home and you are scared?
Yeah. I was home alone.
I was alone. I was terrified. You said I was fine. And so I was like, I hate you. I'm going to go sleep. You deal with this thing. Like, I'm tired. I've been up all night for the last, 5 days. So, and then I wake up the next morning. He's like, I know that he did not sleep. He literally was like, Paige, we really have to, he was completely freaked out. As he should.
Yeah,
as he should.
I think it's very reasonable to be freaked out of that.
Yeah. And so, and it's funny looking back because men don't get scared, okay? Lots of the time they don't show it. And he was so freaked out that I'm like, it made me even more freaked out than I already was. And I'm like, hey, we'll deal with this right now. And I finally messaged my counselor, and she specializes in cranial sacral therapy, body work, energy healing, a ton of stuff, insane background. And I've been working with her for the last 8 years of my life. And she does stuff like this, but I never ever think to call her. I don't know why. Now I am going to call her, and every little hiccup that comes by, I'm calling her. So I text her, and I'm like, hey, this is what's happening. I need your help. I need you to check in on the space. And I was at school, and she texts me back, and she says, let me pull up. I should pull up the message, but she says, I think you need to get rid of that crib. I'm trying to clear it. It won't let me clear it. there is a force field energy attached to the crib that is attracting like-minded ghosts.
Ooh.
That's what she said to me. And I, like, instant cold. I'm like, holy shit. So she's like, basically, I can clear it. They will just keep on coming back, and there's multiple coming.
Yeah, like something's drawing.
Yeah.
into it.
Like, it's like forcing all the negativeness around our house and our town. Like, everything bad is gonna, like, it's basically like drawn to the crib. And she's like, you need to rip that crib out of your house and burn it. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. So I like call Jordan and I'm like, hey, look, like, we need to burn this crib. He's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, well, it's in my truck. I'm freaking taking it right now. So we took the mattress, this crib, all the sheets, everything. And I'm still thinking, this is a great deal.
Yeah.
This crib was $50.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? But yeah, and we took it to the dump, and obviously we couldn't burn it. It was like metal. Like, we can't burn it, but we took it to the dump, and after it was gone, I told her that it was gone, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna check in on the space and make sure that it's all balanced. So she goes in and checks it, and it's fine, and we've had no problem since.
Oh, that's so freaking creepy. That it makes you. Did you ever contact the people that sold it?
No, and I literally want to, because I'm just like, did you know about this?
Yeah.
And my counselor was like, something really bad happened in that crib. Like, really, really bad. So, like, I don't even know what would have happened, or if it was something, or if it was family member, or if it was just if she got it used, or if she had any problems. I have no idea, right?
Yeah, well,
I've been wanting to.
And if maybe she's someone that's like, she just was like, all of a sudden, like, oh, just didn't realize all this, how she was feeling. It wasn't as receptive to it, but she's just like, oh, something's off. And who knows how long this lady may have lived with this, right? And not even realizing, and then got rid of it, passed it on to you. And then she's like, oh man, I feel great now. I got all this energy back. I'm not getting drained, not having any clue. Or on the flip side, she fucking knew. She bought this thing. She's like, I got to get rid of this goddamn crib.
Right? $50.
Yeah, $50.
Take it or leave it.
Someone take it. Haunted crib.
Oh, yeah.
That's absolutely terrifying.
Right? Like, I know. And I'm like, I literally was like, Jordan, fucking drop it off at this girl's door. Like, fuck. I was so mad. But I'm like, but what if she doesn't know? Like, and there's so many things. And it's like, how do you bring up this conversation? Because she is kind of like a friend of a friend. So it's like, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, are you kidding me? Like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, it's kind of, it's a weird one to broach, but it's like, it's when I heard, because I had heard through the grapevine that you guys had tracked it down to the crib, this crib you purchased was the issue. And once you got rid of it, everything was good. And it's like, I've had other people call in and tell stories and share stories, experience of like antiquing and bring an antique home. And then they're like, no, I got to get rid of this, whatever. Something's wrong with this antique, whether it's,
Yeah, it was like a metal crib. Yeah. It was metal. And things stick to metal. And it's just like this cute little crib, who would have known? Like, it could have been anyone too, which is the sad part. And it was literally the funniest thing, and like, obviously for a freaking reason. It was on Marketplace for months.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it's strange how that kind of stuff happens, and then the timing just kind of works out that way, right?
Literally, I know. And it was shitty. Like, honestly, it was the shittiest week that I have ever had. Like, overall, just like it affected our whole life. Like, our dogs, my mood, my schoolwork. I couldn't focus. Obviously, it was disrupting our sleep. Like, and that makes everything totally off balance. So, and it's like, I couldn't even feel like, I felt like I was just being watched 24/7. Like, I really had no idea what to do. Like, I was so freaked out, like, literally to the point, like, you're jumping on your bed because I don't want someone to grab my feet. And then, like, we have stairs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm running up the stairs, and I'm like freaking out, like, just sketched myself out.
I grew up, my parents, like, my parents' house was haunted. I talk about it all the time, like ghost footprints or ghost steps. You'd hear people coming down the stairs, you'd look, no one's coming down the stairs, like creepy stuff all the time. So like I lived my whole growing up life where it was like light switch to light switch. You know, if one's going off, one's going on, and it's a full sprint every time. That's how I grew up. So I relate to that greatly. But I won't keep you anymore. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing that story. It's terrifying, and I'm glad you guys kind of made it out the other side of that ordeal and got it sorted out relatively quickly.
No, literally. I can't believe how, like, it felt like forever. It felt like a long week, but honestly, the people that were there, and in a timely manner, like, we really got lucky, honestly. So, it was great.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for calling in. And if you ever have if you ever pick up a paranormal antique, maybe give me a call before you get rid of it. I would love to come and
totally. I'll drop it off at your house.
Yeah, you drop it off out front here, and I'll do some scans and get rid of it afterwards. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you. Okay, bye.